Hello, and thank you for joining today's webinar. We will be starting in 3 minutes. Hello, and thank you for joining today's webinar. We are ready to begin. Today's webinar is eligible for 1 contact hour. Sigma Theta Tau International Honor Society of Nursing is accredited as a provider of continuing nursing education by the American Nurses Credentialing Center's Commission on Accreditation. The speakers and planning committee members have disclosed no conflicts of interest. To receive contact hours for this C&E session, participants are required to attend the webinar and complete the evaluation form, which will be emailed to all attendees approximately 2 days after the webinar. This webinar is being recorded and will be available via the Sigma repository within a few business days of recording. Following the presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to use the question feature and the speakers will email you a response. On behalf of Sigma, we would like to thank our speakers for sharing their expertise with us today. Our speakers are Kathy Alvarez and Pam Mulligan. Kathy Alvarez is a holistic nurse and professional development specialist. After experiencing burnout early in her nursing career, Kathy developed a passion for designing programs that promote clinician well-being. She is the co-founder of Replenish at Work and serves as a professional development specialist at Yale New Haven Hospital, educator for the American Holistic Nurses Association, and faculty advisor for the Birch Tree Center for Healthcare Transformation. Pam Mulligan is a holistic nurse and board-certified integrative health coach. She is passionate about helping clinicians find well-being through micro-restorative practices. She is the founder of Replenish Mind, Body, Spirit, and has implemented mindfulness-based programs for physicians, nurses, and patients at Mayo Clinic, Arizona, and Yale New Haven Hospital. Now let's go ahead and get started with today's presentation.
Thank you everyone for having us. We're excited to talk to you today about how you can replenish at work. Just give me 1 second. So our learning outcomes today are describe the practice of self-care and its impact on well-being. We're going to discuss components of mindfulness, emotional intelligence, self-compassion, and intention. Identify the 7 dimensions of self-care. And we're going to explore micro-restorative practices to support well-being.
An invitation to restore tends to the promotion of health and well-being for ourselves, our patients, and our communities through reflective practices that nurture clarity, connection, and compassion. We use mindfulness and caring science to promote mental, physical, and spiritual health, healing, and well-being. We slow down to listen, to tend to our needs with the same love and care we give to others. Because when we replenish ourselves, we have more to give. Remember the oxygen mask. We need to build stamina to keep an open heart and tools to navigate the uncertainty and chaos. so we can better care for others. We seek clarity, intentional time to let the turbulence settle, invite a parasympathetic response to access our inner wisdom. And with an attitude of openness and curiosity, we wait for insights that remind us of our values, which can then align our actions with our life's purpose, passion, and joy. We seek connection. We practice self-reflection to foster deeper connections with ourselves and with others. And it just informs our way to appropriately respond and prioritize our needs. We recognize the connection and interdependence of all and the powerful implications this has on our health, our well-being, and our ability to give and receive compassion. We seek compassion that desires the resolution of suffering. And as nurses, we have an unlimited supply for others, but we need to acknowledge the emotional demands inherent with our work and care for ourselves with empathy, sensitivity, kindness, and warmth as well. Mindful, compassionate reflection enhances empathy and well-being. So self-reflection begins by just cultivating self-awareness. We ponder questions like, what do I need to do to restore a compassionate and authentic presence in my caring work? And how can I become a better human?
So there's some fundamentals to think about when we're replenishing ourselves. And the first is we really need to look at redefining self-care. And many of you on the phone, on the conversation here might think self-care at work. What do you do to take care of yourself? I try to eat, I try to drink, and I try to go to the bathroom. And those really are not self-care practices. They're basic human needs. So we need to look at redefining self-care. Both at work and in our personal life. In our personal life, it's more than the occasional massage or manicure. It can be something as simple as saying no. We also need to acknowledge health and well-being are not a destination. This is rather a constant state of reassessing and rebalancing our behaviors to optimize ourselves through supportive and restorative measures. We need integrative and multidimensional approaches that can help us recognize what's impacting your health and well-being and helps guide us to pay attention to your personal goals, needs, and lifestyle. So what is important to you? And finally, to truly thrive amidst the chaos of a hectic life requires you to weave in pockets of respite and meaning with restorative practices that can be integrated into your workday, recognizing that these will sustain our efforts and manage our energy. So let's look first at self-care. So what is self-care? It's taking time to engage in activities that refuel body, mind, and spirit and can be all-inclusive of physical, emotional, cognitive, intentional, social, spiritual, or even commercial actions. Why is it so important? It really helps the body restore homeostasis and recover from hyperalert states. And self-care guides us to reorient and prioritize what it means to be well. So how do we do this? We need interventions that can enhance a sense of safety, that can be calming, have social connectedness, self for community reliance, hope, and optimism. And we also need to redefine it so that community care can be a form of self-care, like checking in on a friend or taking a stand against injustice, which is so important right now. It's also important to note self-care should be individualized, and it's a way of really offering love and support for yourself and for others. If we can, we should try to utilize integrative approaches when possible. And most importantly, we need to know why we want to do it. It needs to be individualized. We all know what is good for us, but if you don't have the meaning behind it and know why you want to do it, it won't be sustainable. It will just be like a New Year's resolution. Now more than ever, it's really crucial that we incorporate practical, frequent, and short breaks called micro-restorative practice to help us refuel and recharge. And Pam's going to introduce you to 3 of them throughout this hour. So we had mentioned core skills to replenish yourself, foster clarity, connection, and compassion. And these will support your well-being and help you navigate the chaos. So some strategies you can use to promote self-care practices and enhance resilience are mindfulness, emotional intelligence, managing our energy with self-regulation and self-compassion, and using intention. And we really need to embody these strategies by digging underneath the surface and getting real with who we are and gaining clarity around who we want to be. This can be challenging, and there may be some challenging questions that we ask you today that make you maybe feel vulnerable or provide a little bit of discomfort, but that's so important to do because we need to remain open, resist that urge to ignore what we're really feeling, and resist the urge to close down or turn away what we need to be well. So let's talk a little bit about mindfulness. So mindfulness, what is it? It's present moment awareness without judgment, bearing witness to an experience without trying to change or fix anything. And this resting in stillness is so important because it allows connections and insights to arise. There's so many studies out there now that show physical, mental, and emotional benefits of mindfulness, such as reducing pain and inflammation, enhancing immune system, decreasing depression, anxiety, and stress, increasing self-awareness, optimism, productivity, and concentration, improving coping abilities and relationships. So how can we practice this? You can practice either formally or informally. So informally, we can bring mindfulness into everyday things that we're doing, such as simple tasks as taking a deep breath, or maybe doing a mindful pause during Purell or hand washing, or eating mindfully, slowing down and really tasting the food with all of your senses, feeling the textures. More formal practices that you may have heard of can be meditation, journaling, and specific breath techniques. So both formal and informal use an intentional pause that allows us to reflect on our experiences and our emotions and pay attention with all of our senses. And finding moments of mindfulness really can be seen like a challenge right now in our present environments, but we're going to show you in a little bit how mindfulness and presence can be achieved in only a few minutes. So where this is requiring an intentional pause, and how we had mentioned earlier, this brings us to the sense of clarity. Emotional intelligence is the capacity to be aware of, manage, and express one's emotions to handle interpersonal relationships empathetically. And we know that our emotions are so important because it guides our behaviors such that we can be reasonable one minute and irrational in the next. There are 5 components of emotional intelligence, and they are self-awareness, is self-regulation and management, motivation, empathy, and social skills. Self-awareness is the most crucial point of emotional intelligence because this is really understanding our emotions, what are our strengths, and what are our weaknesses. We all have them, and we all have individual strengths and weaknesses that make us who we are. The next component is self-regulation and management. So once we understand our emotions, our strengths, and our weaknesses, how do we manage them? Motivation is the next component, and this is really our personal drive to improve, achieve, commit to our goals, acting on opportunities, being optimistic and resilient. Empathy is the next component. So this is the ability to feel what another person is feeling, to experience their emotions, and to really acknowledge other people's emotions and experiences in big and meaningful ways. And the last component is social skills. So once you're able to understand, manage your emotions, relate to other people's emotions and feelings, we can begin to extend appropriate responses to others by maybe listening, cooperating, or resolving conflict. Benefits of mindfulness: it reduces anxiety and stress, improves relationships, diffuses conflict, and enhances communication. So how do we practice this? This all ties back into the mindfulness practice. We need to get still in order to recognize and name our emotions, which then fosters a connection to ourselves and further enhances our connection with others. So this ties into the connection piece that Pam had mentioned earlier. The next core skill is self-compassion. So this is being warm to oneself when encountering pain or personal shortcomings. There are 3 components to self-compassion, according to Dr. Kristen Neff, who has done a lot of work in this field. And the first is self-kindness. We need to recognize that being imperfect, failing, and experiencing difficulties in life is inevitable. So we really need to be gentle with ourselves when we're confronting with these experiences, rather than getting angry when life falls short of our ideals. The next component is common humanity. And this is recognizing that suffering and inadequacy is part of all of our shared human experience. It's something we all go through rather than being something that happens to just you alone. The next component is mindfulness. So again, this ties back into what we had previously discussed. We need to be non-judgmental and have a receptive mind to observe thoughts and feelings as they are without trying to suppress or deny them. So the benefits of self-compassion are that it increases motivation, boosts happiness, enhances self-worth, fosters resilience, and reduces anxiety, depression, and stress. So how do we practice this? We need to first acknowledge our self-talk. Name your emotions without judgment. And by acknowledging your self-talk, think about, would you talk to your friend the way that you talk to yourself? And this is so important because when we learn to be more compassionate with ourselves, again, we show up more compassionately with others. And the last core skill is intention. And this is really creating a personal vision that aligns with your values and desired future to generate new possibilities. So by using mindful awareness, this connects ourselves to a vision to consider our best experiences, our core values and conditions. And this further illuminates a path to your goals, making it easier to imagine your way forward and to stay on track. And it's so important to connect to your motivation to really ensure the lasting change. So benefits to intention are identifying strong positive motivators, supports self-efficacy and self-determination, enhances well-being, and increases hope. So how do we do this? We need to ask ourselves, what is your why? You can think about creating a vision statement that reflects who you are and what health promoting behaviors you want to do consistently, knowing that this is going to be individual for you. This ties everything all in together and helps us foster a sense of clarity, connection, and compassion. We seek clarity, we connect with our emotions, knowing what matters to us and what drives us to do better and be better so we can show up compassionately for ourselves and for others. So how do we utilize the core skills of mindfulness, emotional intelligence, self-compassion, and intention? We need to take a gentle approach, one drop at a time. And we know our current work environments and wellness initiatives at many of our organizations are making attempts at changing the culture to support our well-being and establish healthy work environments. However, we also know that we have a massive workload, patient acuity is increasing, and time constraints can be factors that prohibit us from taking care of ourselves in large doses. So we need to have tools to assess and restore that are short, intentional, and relevant. And so micro-restorative practices, although they are short, have really a big impact and promote healthy behaviors. And so here's how you do it. We're going to first pause, listen and feel, connect to ourselves, and identify a self-care practice that is meaningful to you. This will allow you to focus on restoration towards either body, mind, or spirit.
So let's do a quick micro-restorative self-awareness practice that combines what we've just learned. It may seem like this is impossible to do in a busy clinical environment, but the truth is that we can reset our nervous system in as little as 1 minute. So this self-awareness guided practice will utilize awareness of breath, body, thoughts, emotions, and it will root our attention into the present moment. And once we are in this space, we'll ponder the multidimensional layers of our being, our mental state, physiological state, energetic, and spiritual. This will allow any wise insights to arise. So begin in a comfortable seat. We'll do this for about 3 minutes. And if it feels right, close your eyes. And first, just give yourself permission to rest. An invitation to restore. Stress accumulates in our minds and our bodies. And we need intentional practices to release and restore. Mindful movement can help, as it's an opportunity to guide our attention in the present moment into the mind and body. We explore with curiosity and without.
Sorry, just give us 1 minute. We're going to go back. That's not the practice there. Pam's going to guide you in the practice. So just,
That's our next practice. We were just jumping
we'll
ahead.
do that next.
So this is a perfect situation for what happens when we try to engage mindfulness amidst the chaos. It never goes the way we plan. So it's an invitation to just, with a smile, come back and recognize that no matter how hard we try to perfect things in life, it is impossible. And so with a nice deep inhale, try and bring yourself back to the moment, back to your seat. And we'll direct our attention, but we'll release the need to change or do anything. So together, let's find a space to deactivate our nervous systems and cultivate a presence of receptivity and listening. Feel where your body is touching the support beneath you. Notice your feet touching the floor. Bring your attention to the physical body. And with an exhale, soften the outer edges. Feel as though someone you love has placed their hands on your back and you can lean back into them and soften some more. Arrive peacefully in your body. Notice where the breath enters. Maybe you feel it in your chest, your belly, or your nose. Notice how the inhale arrives without effort. And feel how the exhale draws you deeper within. It's okay when your attention gets carried away by a thought or a sensation. This is the normal activity of the mind. So we are not trying to stop that. We are simply watching it happen and returning our attention to the breath. With spacious awareness and the curiosity and wonder of a child, become a witness. Watch your thoughts and emotions arise. Like moving clouds in the sky, they change and eventually dissipate on their own. Explore your body. Using the breath as your guide, scan the front of your body. The back of your body. Noticing sensations and allowing your attention to linger in any area that feels constricted. And using a deeper exhale to soften some more. As you pay attention to a deliberate, longer exhale, you may even feel the pleasure of a deliberate release. Strength on the inside, soft and receptive on the outside. And when you're ready, come back. Bring your attention back to the room and gently open your eyes. You may notice a soft smile. This is a practice that can be done multiple times a day, even in shorter duration, to just hit a reset button and let the nervous system settle for a few moments.
So now that we've done the self-awareness practice, a thing to maybe ask yourself in this space is, how am I feeling right now? And what do you need? And so looking at this is a helpful tool created by Duke Integrative Medicine, and it's really used in the coaching world to help the individual self-assess and develop tools for self-care and sustainability. So if you look in the middle of this wheel is mindful you and awareness. We know how important it is to become still, right? And identify how you're feeling and what you need. If you look around the wheel, here are the 7 dimensions of self-care, which are mind-body connection, movement, exercise, and rest, nutrition, personal and professional development, physical environment, relationships and communication, and spirituality. In a few minutes, we're going to dive deeper into each and give you some examples of some micro-restorative practices. But briefly, mind-body connection is looking at strengthening the connection between the body and the mind and understanding how stress and wellness can impact both. Movement, exercise, and rest is looking to have a balance between rest and sleep and movement. Nutrition, paying attention to what we eat and drink and our food habits. Personal and professional development, looking at your personal, professional, and life goals. Physical environment is identifying your home and your work environments and how they can be impacting or hindering your health. Relationships and communication, identifying our personal and professional relationships and also looking at how we communicate with others. And the last dimension is spirituality, which is our sense of purpose and meaning. Around the wheel, you'll notice there's this blue area here, which looks at prevention and intervention and conventional and complementary approaches to wellness. So this is looking at keeping up to date on routine health screenings and also integrating some complementary approaches to health. So all 7 dimensions are important for our overall health, but I want you to just take a moment right now and maybe write down on a piece of paper what dimension right now has been the easiest for you to sustain out of these 7 dimensions that are listed here. And once you've identified that, what self-care dimension do you think lends the most opportunity for growth currently? So which one do you think has been easiest for you to sustain, and which one do you think you have an opportunity for growth? And I invite you to write it down on a piece of paper, because what that does is it takes these thoughts from the subconscious mind and it puts it to the conscious mind, and it allows you to look on paper identifying what your strengths are and allows you to begin thinking about setting an intention for how you may want to improve your life in the future. So now that we have a little bit of context, let's dig a little deeper into each and provide some examples that will further assist you. Always keep in mind that this is just an invitation to restore. You are the authority of your own health, and only you know what you need. And at the end, we're going to leave some time for you to reevaluate these and maybe develop a SMART goal. So the first dimension is mind-body connection, and a self-awareness and self-assessment question can be, where is your attention currently? So our thoughts and patterns and emotions impact nearly every illness we get. Mind, body, brain, they're all connected. They all communicate with each other. Stress has an important impact on our body and mind, and we're so outwardly focused in times of high stress that we may miss warning signals within our bodies and our minds. It's so important to assess our energy and manage it so we show up again, like we had mentioned, compassionately for ourselves, others, and the people that we serve. It's also important to identify what causes us stress and what strategies we have to manage it. So some micro-restorative practice here in this self-care practice would be identifying and shifting your mindset. So acknowledging where you are. Are you feeling optimistic or are you feeling pessimistic? And can we kind of shift our mindset? Simple breath techniques can work in this, like inhaling maybe for a count of 3, exhaling for a count of 6. Practicing a body scan meditation or having a guided imagery practice or meditation practice can also be helpful here. And there's some great free apps that can help you with this, like Insight Timer or Headspace. Journaling is also important because, like I had just mentioned, it takes the subconscious thoughts into the conscious mind and allows us to write down our emotions and gain clarity and insight. The next dimension is physical environment. And so a question to ask yourself is, what surrounds you? So the spaces where you spend most of your time have a major impact on how you feel physically and emotionally. Some things we know we can't change, but consider aspects of the physical environment that you can in ways that support and nurture your health. We should try to acknowledge and gain perspective and see the beauty around us. Now more than ever, it's also important to note we should be trying to balance watching the news with time spent viewing peace and serenity, as both contribute to our health, because it's important to note that our physical environment can be both internal and external. So take a moment right now to think about how your environments may have changed recently, both at home and at work. And how could you incorporate maybe more time in nature or improve your current work environment? Some examples here can be taking a moment to spend time in nature throughout the day. So if you get a moment to step outside during a busy shift, even if it's for a minute or two, to feel the sunshine and get some of that vitamin D there. You could also go for a mindful walk in between meetings. So sometimes when we're walking in the hallway, we have our cell phone and we're multitasking, but can we put the phone down and feel our feet on the ground and walk mindfully? You can also personalize your space. If you're working in the clinical unit, can you bring a picture maybe of your family that you can laminate and have somewhere? Or bring something to hold that has meaning to you, maybe a shell from the beach or a rock. You can try to infuse scents if that's helpful. Maybe have music downloaded on your phone that brings you joy and comfort that you can listen to throughout the day. It's also important to look at the clutter. Do we have clutter, and how that creates us sometimes a sense of anxiety? So can we decrease clutter? Look at our ergonomics. Hear the sounds, the audio that we have sometimes with alarm fatigue. So if you're feeling like you're on heightened alert because of all the sounds around you, make sure when you take a break that you move yourself away from the sounds that you hear. Looking at the impact of light, maybe pollution, both air and noise, and really you want to do anything that can enhance your senses in this domain. The next dimension of self-care is nutrition. And so a question to ask yourself is, how do you nourish yourself? So the food you eat has a significant impact on your overall health and well-being. And we know this because there's been many studies that have linked food intake with adverse health outcomes such as cancer, osteoporosis, heart disease, and diabetes. So we want to develop a healthy and balanced diet. We want to really shift your focus, not on diet, but using food as fuel. So think about what fuels you, what makes you feel good, what is your attitude towards food. It's also important to look at hydration and its impact on our well-being. We often are working long hours and drinking a lot of coffee, but are we drinking enough water? And how can we encourage ourselves to drink more? Maybe it's setting a timer on your phone every 2 hours that reminds you to drink. There's also some apps that are helpful that you can download that will remind you to drink during the day as well. So some examples here, the 9 key strategies in an anti-inflammatory food plan or diet. So what do we mean about 9 key strategies? This is looking at increasing our fruits and vegetables, consuming healthy fats with anti-inflammatory benefits such as maybe avocados or olive oil, looking at shifting our protein sources from reducing our animal meat proteins and increasing maybe beans and lentils, increasing fiber-rich foods such as veggies, beans, and legumes, consuming at least an ounce of nuts or seeds on most days if we can, getting probiotics through food because we know that's important for our gut health. So this could be done through yogurt, kombucha, or kefir, increasing our fluid intake, which I had mentioned, moderate alcohol consumption, and really knowing some important vitamin and mineral levels, vitamin D being one that's really important. Other things that you could do at work, try to plan ahead and bring healthy snacks to fuel at work in case you can't take a full break. So things important, I had mentioned nuts, seeds, granola is good, hummus with veggies, or a high protein yogurt. And then the last thing I want to mention is just mindful eating, which can be hard to do in our professional environment because when we do get to take a break, we might be shoveling food in. So that's why bringing healthy snacks during the day might allow you some more time to sit. But mindful eating is really taking a moment to taste what food tastes like without multitasking. So really feeling the textures of the food, the smells of the food, and focusing just on eating and chewing rather than shoveling it in our mouth. So the next dimension is exercise and rest. And so a question to ask yourself is, how do you move and how do you rest? So regular exercise and movement's good for our physical and mental health and can contribute to sleep and foster relief of negative thoughts. Sleep is so important, we know, and the quantity and quality of sleep can vary from person to person, but we need to know that we're in charge of increasing our energy and we're also in charge of calming it. So we have to learn to recognize which is most important in what moment and what activities, maybe food, people, contribute to both. So it's kind of like a bank account. We need to know when to deposit and when to draw energy. So some examples here for movement and rest can be mindful movement, which we're going to do next. Walking, maybe yoga, and for rest, developing some type of sleep ritual, trying to maybe go to bed if we can at the same time every day, limit lights in the room and caffeine before bedtime, also limiting electronics at least an hour before we're getting ready to go to bed, and sometimes scents can help us get into that rest state. So lavender might be helpful, or having a calming tea. So now that you guys have been sitting for some time, Pam's going to walk us through a micro-restorative movement practice. And at the end of this webinar, we're going to give you some time to rest. So if you can right now, while Megan's getting this video up, just clear a space where you find that you can have a little bit of movement. And we're going to show you how you can incorporate these movements throughout your day.
An invitation to restore. Stress accumulates in our minds and our bodies, and we need intentional practices to release and restore. Mindful movement can help, as it's an opportunity to guide our attention in the present moment into the mind and body. We explore with curiosity and without judgment how our bodies feel. As we move with the breaths, we notice physical sensations as well as thoughts and emotions. Our attention is generally other-focused, and we tend to only notice our bodies when we feel pain. So a regular mindfulness practice is a way to check in, like placing the stethoscope on ourselves, to listen and move in a way that releases tension and generates ease. All you need is your breath. Move slowly and listen to your body's wisdom. Don't push through any discomfort or move in any way that may cause you harm. Let's begin in mountain pose. Standing tall with your feet hips distance apart, simply find your breath. Begin to sway a little side to side until you locate center. Shoulders and hips over ankles, head neutral, arms by your side, and palms open. Just breathe. Welcome yourself to this moment with a little nod of appreciation for taking the time to take care of yourself. Now, as we stretch, we look to create flexibility and freedom out of a stable foundation. Our legs are the foundation here. To engage them, lift the muscles above your kneecaps and draw your inner thighs towards each other. Lift and spread your toes for a moment and then set them down. Notice the stability. Push down through your heels as you lift the crown of your head towards the sky. Notice your back body and your front body. And from a strong center, imagine a wave of softness drapes over your outer body, leaving you strong on the inside and soft and receptive on the outside. Each inhale is an opportunity to nourish and expand, to gather energy. Each exhale an opportunity to soften, release, and let go. On an inhale, with your thumbs leading the way, raise both arms overhead. Gaze straight ahead and stretch your arms and your torso up as you root down through your feet. Expand your fingers wide and reach up through your fingertips. If it feels comfortable, you may slowly lift your gaze towards the sky. And on an exhale, allow your arms to float down by your sides. Pause and feel. Again, inhale, arms overhead, reach, stretch towards the sky. Place your attention on your heart space and lift your chest up. As you root down through your feet, feel an openness across your chest. Exhale again and release your arms. Pause and feel. Let's do that again with a stretch to the side. Begin with an inhale, move the arms in the same way, thumbs leading, all the way up. If you experience any resistance, please don't force through. Pause and only work within your range of motion. At the top, grab your left wrist with your right hand. On a deep inhale, lengthen taller. With a strong foundation in your leg and foot, exhale over to your right. Again, find steadiness by drawing your legs towards each other. As you lift up out of the waist, exhale, come back to center. Release your arms. Notice the difference in sensations between the right side and left sides of your upper body. Inhale, second side. Arms up. Grab your right wrist with your left hand, your right leg reaching into the ground for support. Find length in the right side as you bend over towards the left. Exhale. Keep your head between your arms, your neck and chin neutral, and think of something or someone that makes you smile. Turn your chest slightly towards the sky, almost like a sunflower turns towards the sun. Fill your chest up with a deep inhale. Pause and notice the hint of a smile. Be mindful not to collapse in the lower back. Stay strong and committed in your legs and return to center. Allow your arms to float back down by your sides. This next stretch is helpful to release tension and tightness that accumulates across the front of the chest, upper back, and shoulders from activities that have us slouching with a forward head tilt, like sitting, working on our devices, driving, and most recently, the marathon of Zoom calls. Begin with a few simple shoulder rolls. Breathe in and lift your shoulders up towards your ears, and move them back and down. Squeeze the shoulder blades together on your back and hold there, as if I was to place a pencil right in the middle of your back and you're trying to hold it there. Squeeze. And then release. This time we can go deeper. With your feet parallel, shoulder width apart, engage your inner thighs, hugging them again towards each other. If your range of motion allows, clasp your hands behind your back. Interlace your fingers. If this is impossible, simply follow along with your palms open, arms by your side. On an inhale, lengthen your torso and lift your chest. Root down strongly through your feet and into the ground beneath you. Feel supported and anchored so you can use the inhale to rise out of the support as you squeeze your shoulder blades towards each other onto your back. Your head and chin remain neutral but lifted. Breathe. And notice with expansion all across your heart space. With the soft gaze ahead, bring your attention into your body and feel. Release on the exhale. This one you can do seated or standing. Challenge your balance by doing it in the middle of the room or holding on to something for support. This pose can be energizing when done standing and calming when done seated. Decide what works for you today, and when you're ready, place your right ankle on top of your left knee. Flex your foot and spread your toes. On an inhale, get some length in the upper body, and on an exhale, move your seat back. From standing, as if you're about to sit in a chair, and from seated, a slight slide back in your chair. From here, begin to lean forward towards your shin. You may even place your forearms on your shins, if possible. Notice the sensations in your outer hip. If you're standing, be playful as you waver. If you're seated, close your eyes and lengthen your exhale. In both cases, the inhale invites a search for steadiness and support. The exhales invite a directed release of tension. Do not push down on your knee and only move in ways that your body welcomes. Go slow and listen carefully. Release and return to center. Let's do the other side. Left ankle on top of your right knee with your right foot planted firmly on the floor. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, sit back. Inhale, feel the steady support beneath you. Exhale, soften the outer edges of your body. Feel into all sensations. Scan your body to find where tension is being asked to be released and breathe there. Notice how you feel. Notice your heart rate. Notice your breathing. And recognize the play here between effort and surrender, strength and ease. This stretch is a variation of down dog that can be done when one can't or wouldn't want to touch the floor, especially in a clinical setting. So find a chair, desk, stretcher, OR table, or even a wall, whatever you can that isn't on wheels, and place your hands at hips height and walk back. Walk back so that your arms are parallel and straight. Your feet are parallel, your knees are slightly bent. Inhale, move your seat back, like really back, and notice a stretch in your lower back and legs. Inhale deeply into your whole back body, and exhale and release your head. Open and close your mouth. Release tension in your jaw, all while staying strong in your legs and in your arms. Bend into your right knee and send your left hip back as you straighten your knee. Notice what you feel. Return to center, and then bend into your left knee. Send your right hip back. Where can you release tension and find space? Come back to center, stay here for a few breaths, and when ready, walk forward and release. This intentional time of self-care will help you sustain your energy, help you assess what needs more effort and energy, and what needs more letting go and release of control. To close this practice, place a hand on your heart space and thank yourself for taking the time to check in and create space and ease in your body and your mind. Thank you for allowing me to guide your practice today. Be well.
Okay, so let's move on. We're going to do a nice rest at the end here. But the next dimension is relationships and communication. So asking yourselves, how do you connect? So good relationships we know are tied to good health. So think about the relationships you have and how are they affecting your health? Thinking about how you best communicate. Do you use active listening skills? And thinking about, do you have any implicit biases? We also need to know your support systems. Who is your safe space? Someone who you can trust and who gives you the space to be authentic and honest about how you feel and what do you need. And who also supports you in brave spaces where you might feel vulnerable to speak up. So things to think about here to assess how you communicate using nonviolent communication. So checking in with yourself, noticing how you're feeling. Consider using I statements like I need from you or I feel. Set an intention to understand another person's experience and communicate with compassion and listen with open awareness. Let's try to not fix everything in this category here. Personal and professional development, a question to ask is what promotes your growth? So this is what gives you an overall meaning and purpose in life and what makes you feel hopeful and alive. Notice where you may feel successful, inspired, and invigorated, and what makes you feel depleted and drained. And how much time are you nourished and at peace, and how much time are you running on empty? This helps guide your goals. We need to stay connected to what brings us meaning and joy, and this really promotes our growth. It's also important to note we need to go back to that self-compassion and be flexible and shift our priorities when we have extra burdens of anxiety and stress. So some examples here personally may be engaging in art, listening or playing music, sitting in thought, playing sports, maybe just watching the tide roll in. And from a professional perspective, engaging in either committees, groups, or continuing education that gives us meaning at work. And the last dimension of self-care is spirituality. And a question to ask is, what do you value? So spirituality is a central component of how we experience life and see the world. We need to zoom out to get a better picture of our life. So it's not necessarily spirituality in the sense of religion. It's really getting at the heart of what's most important to you, identifying and understanding your values. What is important to you? What do you enjoy most? Are you living your values in alignment with your authenticity? So some things you can do is write a personal statement of purpose where you can reflect on who you are. How do you want to live your life? Who do you want to be? Or engaging in gratitude practice. So contemplating how to embody a life of gratitude and experience the benefits of it, rather than waiting for big moments like we tend to do, graduations, weddings, or the birth of a child. So developing rituals that help us appreciate little things like watching our children play or a sunrise. So right here, I just want to show you, this is a SMART goal, and I know many of you are probably familiar with these, but this is how you get to your why. It helps you understand. So we need to be, the goals need to be specific. What do you want to happen? They need to be measurable. How will you know you've achieved your goal? Achievable, what steps will you take? Realistic, how can you achieve it? And it needs to be timely, because this helps us really stay accountable. Nothing hinders the change process than setting unrealistic or unachievable goals. So we need to keep it real and small and relevant to your lifestyle. And don't forget to celebrate small wins along the way. After this webinar, we'll have this PDF available for you so you can begin to develop your SMART goal. So the last micro-restorative practice that we're going to do, Pam is going to begin to introduce.
So in order to find our why, we need to slow down sometimes. We put a lot of effort into learning what we need to do to be well, and sometimes the most skillful thing we can do is just to slow down and allow things to come to us in moments of contemplation. So our deepest wish is that you recognize the parts of yourself that desire attention and meet them with the same compassion and love that you so freely give to others. This next practice is an audio link. So this image will go away and you will only hear my voice and the music. We will provide a link to hear an additional introduction to this meditation for you at the end. So find a comfortable seat, and for this 10-minute practice, close your eyes, and there's nothing to do except rest and receive. A time to surrender. Return to the calmness of your breath. Let's turn our attention to the music. Allow it to simply hold space for us to rest. Take off the armor and soften into the present moment. Slow down the rhythms of the heart and listen and feel. In the silence of the heart, things unfold. Here is where we find our way back to clarity, connection, and compassion. Our presence is our greatest asset in times of need. So amidst this chaos, it is essential to pause and allow the parasympathetic nervous system to downregulate, slow down your heart rate, lower your blood pressure, and give you a soft space to just be. We can visualize this experience and ourselves using the ocean as a metaphor as we relate to its many forms, the storm and the calm. Allow our minds, our bodies, and our hearts to trust that all storms pass. And remember that deep within storms is where our greatest strengths emerge. This time is for you to rest in the space of the music. Let it take you in. Let it be the raft that supports you and carries you through the waves of your thoughts. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Soften your shoulders. Relax your jaw. And find your breath. Inhale deeply. And exhale fully. Place your attention on your breath. Let it be your anchor to this moment. Surrender. Exhale. Soften the outer layers of your being and rest in knowing that without effort, a new inhale will arrive. Receive it. Let it fill you. And merge with the tide of your breathing. Each exhale draws you deeper within. Let the current of your life slow down. Float in the vast ocean of space and music. Rest your attention in your heart space and listen as if you placed a stethoscope on your own heart. Feel into its rhythm. Give yourself time to fill, like an extended diastole. Allow the inhale to fill you. Allow the exhale to carry away tension. Just follow the breath. Notice any physical sensations in your body, places you may be holding on or bracing, and soften into this moment, a safe place to rest. Notice your thoughts and your emotions. Just observe them. Let them be as they are. You don't have to do anything with them. It's natural and normal to feel overwhelmed at times. Natural to feel like giving up. That it's all just too much to handle. It's okay. Allow whatever wants to surface to surface. Whatever wants to rise, rise up to be felt. Rise and release. No resistance to the feelings. Nothing to fix or change with them. Simply give them kind attention and allow them to be. Let go of them when you are ready. Roshi Joan Halifax says, don't try to hold the suffering. Just let it move through. As it moves through, touch it with kindness. Exhale. The ocean is vast enough to hold our collective pain. Lay it down and be carried by the rippling waves. Just rest in the ebb and flow of your breathing. Be held in the knowing that you are not alone in this, that as you are here for others, there are millions around the world that are here for you. Imagine your loved ones beside you and clasp their hand. Imagine your friends and colleagues reach out for their hands. Imagine your community and all beings in our world and reach out for their hands. And feel that with each connection, our individual strength increases. And with each connection, our wavering decreases. Together, as we ride out this storm, we remember how important it is that we hold on to each other for strength and take care of each other like we never have before. Each of us is like a drop in the ocean, but all of us together become the ocean. Allow these waves of awareness to wash over you as comfort, as energy, and as strength. And when you're ready, when you're comfortable, you can gently open your eyes. Come back to your surroundings. Wherever you are, come back. Return to this place often to restore and offer yourself the same love and kindness you so generously give to others. Be safe. Be well. Take care. We'll close with a quote from Parker Palmer. Anytime we can listen to true self and give the care it requires, we do it not only for ourselves, but for the many others whose lives we touch. So thank you so much for the honor of sharing our thoughts and practices with you today. We are grateful to be invited guests on your journey to wellness.
Thank you so much to our presenters today for all this great information. Sigma is grateful that you took the time to share with this audience, and we look forward to hearing more from you in the future. As a reminder to our attendees, please submit the state or country you are from in the questions feature. We hope you enjoyed this webinar. Be sure to check out Sigma's upcoming webinars, podcasts, and resources to support you and your colleagues at sigmanursing.org. Also, previously recorded webinars and podcasts are freely available on the Sigma repository. Thank you for joining us and have a wonderful day.